US-Regierung, so hat es jedenfalls Präsident Trump mal gesagt, ist nicht alle zu bestrafen mit den Zöllen, sondern mit jedem Land einzeln in einen Dialog zu kommen. Er sagt Dialog, um sozusagen für USA günstige Konditionen im bilateralen Handel auszuarbeiten. Sie sind nicht der Rat, Sie vertreten das Parlament. Wie steht das Parlament dazu? Sie können ja nicht verhindern, dass der italienische Regierungschef, wenn der ungarische Regierungschef nach Washington fährt und möglicherweise jetzt bilateral Lösungen sucht.
Das würde natürlich Herrn Trump sehr gut gefallen, wenn er die EU spalten könnte. Wir haben ja schon einige Versuche gesehen, auch jetzt bei dem Exportverbot oder jetzt auch Exportrestriktionen für Halbleiter, dass das versuchen würde. Aber ich kann Ihnen versichern, im Bereich Handel steht die EU gemeinsam. Zum einen ist es im Vertrag ja auch vorgesehen, Handel ist EU-Kompetenz und da wird es keinen Split geben. Und zum Zweiten sind natürlich die wirtschaftlichen Interessen so verwoben. Sie haben Ungarn genannt, in Ungarn ist auch eine starke Automobilindustrie, die davon betroffen sind. Die Lieferketten sind so verwoben, dass man überhaupt nicht ein Land da herausbrechen kann. Und ich denke auch, wenn man nochmal diese bedeutenden 30 Seiten durchliest, da sind auch einzelne Beispiele von einzelnen Ländern genannt, Länder der Europäischen Union. Und das geht auch quer durch die 27 Länder. Also da kann man sehen, da wird es nicht differenziert. Nein, da habe ich keine Angst vor. Ich meine, das ist ja auch klar, wir sind 450 Millionen Menschen. Wir sind eine wirtschaftlich starke Macht und haben auch ganz andere Möglichkeiten zu reagieren, auch mit Partnern, als vielleicht andere kleine Staaten.
Yes, good morning. Simone Disegni from Open Italy. I wanted to understand what is the agenda for the next few days and the next week. I mean, when do you plan, do you think the countermeasures or anyway the strategy will be defined, will be decided by the Commission, of course. And also I know that a delegation led by you, if I'm not wrong, will be traveling to the US next week. I was wondering what are your aims in the mission, who will you meet and so on.
Yes, indeed. So the next weeks will be quite intensive regarding negotiations. So, as I mentioned, on the 14th of April, we will have the first tranche of our countermeasures. In parallel, we'll be discussing the second tranche. And this will be an intensive contact between Parliament and the Member States, the Commission. Our chef, Sabine Bayern, Director General of DG Trade, will come to the ITA Committee on Monday or Tuesday next week. Exchange. Then also next week, the Trade Minister Council will meet. And yes, on the 9th, I'm going to Washington. Luckily, I have a visa, so I was not sure about that, but I got it. And then, of course, I will have a chat also with the Trade Administration and, of course, also with the House and the Senate to look how they are feeling and how they can perhaps limit the deficit. They have gathered around. In the US Constitution, trade is the competence of the House. And based on some legislation, Trump is using this 232 or 301 or not even an older legislation, he is acting below. And of course the Parliament, the House has the right to take the competence back to the House based on the Constitution. And let's see how the relevant people in the House and in the Senate will think. You heard yesterday night there was also a resolution passed in the Senate giving some critical position towards the policy of Trump. Even some So this is the main target, to discuss, to start negotiation with the administration and having an intensive dialogue with the with the Congress, with the House and the Senate. And then I guess there will be also some official discussion between the Research Commission and the House. But of course we need really a basis of what we can negotiate. So the negotiation is not easy.
Let's go online now. We have two people requesting the floor online. Mr. We can go back up. Because Mr. Düsseldorf has been waiting quite a long time already. And you have the floor.
Thank you very much. You can hear me already? Yeah. So, Mr. Lang, thank you. You said it this morning on the radio, and you said it now, that Trump was making a complicated calculation that includes European standards and regulations to justify the 20%. But in fact, when you look at the basic calculation, it is very simple. You divide the trade surplus of an economic area by the total exports of that area to the US, which gives you the 39% of the trade. Dividing that by 2 gives you the 20% import tariffs. With all due respect, that's kindergarten mathematics. And what makes you think, maybe you have more information, what makes you think that regulations and standards are in fact included in that calculation?
He mentioned it in his speech yesterday. So he mentioned the VAT and also some other non-tariff barriers. So in this 30 pages you find also some remarks. This is not acceptable, the standards. And for example, the charts that in this paper is mentioned, we also only respect international standards like the EU and PCE and not US standards. For me, this is not any justification here, this international standard. So, then indeed the question how this is really fit in to this 39%. You see also a formula on that, a little bit complicated. I learned this not in mathematics, and I'm not sure that this is based on scientific exercises.
Mr. Kapsak, also online.
Can you hear me well? Good morning, Mr. Mr. Kapsak, I would like to push a little bit further on the ACI. You seem to be quite cautious about using the anti-coercion instrument now. But then again, if you really want to hit the US and hit the digital companies, we cannot do without. Shouldn't we be a little more offensive when it comes to that at the moment? Because otherwise, you just seem to be taking the position, we're wait and see, we're ready to negotiate, we're not to do harm at all.
I just mentioned that this instrument is there and it is on the table, and it's no secret that we are looking how to optimize this instrument, no doubt about. But I guess this is clear, this is the last resort. This is not our first step. And we want to find a solution in the negotiation, because using the ACI, this would be really hard escalation, and this is totally not in the interest of the people. Therefore, last resort, but we have it, and this should be calculated by everybody.
Mrs. Rankin, also online.
Thank you. Can you hear me? Yes. Yes. Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. Apologies. Jennifer Rankin from The Guardian. And in fact, it was also a question about the ACI. In your previous answer just now, it sounded as if, well, you said it was a last resort. But, so at the moment, is it the case you don't think that you should turn to this instrument despite that 30-page document you mentioned, despite all the criticism of EU legislation. Is this not the moment, given that the Trump administration has EU legislation in its sights? Surely this is the case for triggering the anti-coercion instruments. This appears to be a case of attempted coercion. So why not turn to it now? And what's the point that you think the EU would have to turn to the last resort?
We will now analyze the effect of the announced tariffs carefully, and then with this second tranche. And as I mentioned, there are a lot of possibilities to use our enforcement regulation, and if also regarding the next weeks, it will be clear that there will be economic pressure, then of course we will start the process as well. And this process is a little bit more lengthy because you have to really investigate the case and to make a clear distinction between other elements and aggressive pressure. And then of course we want to also negotiate, because negotiation is better than using them. And then it has to be implemented. So a little bit more lengthy than the non-enforcement regulation. But I guess it's acceptable because we want to be serious. And we want to be also in the framework of WTO. We want not just to protect because we are strong and we could do it. No, we want to be serious. We are defending the multilateral trading order, and this is also relevant for the using of ACI. Therefore, perhaps in the north of Germany, we are also a little bit more relaxed and not so emotional, and therefore we are looking really carefully what's going on and define our proper reaction.
There were some more questions from the room. We will take some together because we have another press conference in 10 minutes, so we can stay quickly if we can. Please.
Edith Fish from the Netherlands. I want you to elaborate on what you said this morning in your press release. The tariffs of the US you call unjustified, illegal and disproportional. But if Europe also uses tariffs against the Americans, is it then legal, legitimate and proportional? What's the difference between American tariffs and European countermeasures like tariffs?
Yes, thank you, Daniel. We will with the Luxembourg Public Radio. Ich werde mal eine Frage auf Deutsch stellen. Herr Lange, Sie haben, und das hat auch Kommissionspräsidentin Ursula von der Leyen heute Morgen gemacht, und es wird schon wiederholt gesagt, dass alle Instrumente der EU auf dem Tisch sind. Das hat aber bisher wenig Eindruck auf der Gegenseite gemacht. Deswegen meine Frage, wie geht denn die EU jetzt in diese Verhandlungen rein? Mit welchen neuen Elementen kann die EU denn hier auftreten und doch versuchen, die Gegenseite noch zu überzeugen? Das ist von außen jetzt so ein bisschen schwer nachzuvollziehen.
So first, we are building out in the measure of proper legislation, which is in line with WTO. That's crucial, and this is States taking lots of risks. They are really putting the eggs towards a multi-lateral system. Secondly, we are looking in a proportional way. So as mentioned, we are not, let's say 20%, we are not in principle 20% because we really do the damage. What is the damage and what is proportional to the action? This is really approach, and we have also a clear defensive legislation, so we could never start with trade war because this 232 Act or 301 Act is offensive. Also, this element which Trump wants to do, this is exports and defensive emergency measure. This is not possible by the European Union. We have only defensive methods. Ja, wir hatten die Schwierigkeit, in den Gesprächen mit den Vereinigten Staaten zu wissen, was sie eigentlich wollen. Und wenn man sich jetzt die Zölle und diese 30 Seiten anguckt, sieht man, dass da viele Dinge genannt werden, die was mit unseren Gesetzen zu tun haben. Und da können wir nicht hingehen und sagen, wir ändern jetzt DSA oder wir ändern jetzt unsere Lebensmittelsicherheit. Nicht ausgeschlossen. Ist es, dass sie mehr Investitionen in die Vereinigten Staaten haben wollen? Kann sein. Es gibt ja schon einige Investitionsentscheidungen. Kann man gucken, ist das vernünftig? Kann man was begleiten? Kann man vielleicht was austauschen? So, darüber kann man reden. Man kann auch über die gegenseitigen Zölle reden. Also das berühmte Beispiel, dass die USA Importzölle für Autos von 2,5% haben und wir 10%. Nebenbei, das ist hinterlegt, das Zölle bei der WTO akzeptiert von allen Mitgliedern der WTO. Einstimmig haben die USA so vorgeschlagen. Zur Wirklichkeit gehört aber auch dazu, dass die USA Importzölle für Pickups, für Light Duty Vehicles von 25% haben. Also der Ford 150 und die entsprechenden Autos würden mit 25% verzeugt. Also wenn man über Zölle redet, muss man auch die ganze Wirklichkeit, also das könnte man auch machen. Und so gibt es ein paar andere Dinge auch. In den 30 Seiten, empfehle ich jedem, da kann man wirklich Comprehensive Overview of European Legislation ziehen. In diesem Sinn ist auch die mangelnde militärische Kooperation drin. Dass man sagt, mehr Militärkontakt kann man über vieles reden. Wir haben auch immer Gesprächsangebote gemacht. Lass uns doch darüber reden, lass uns darüber reden. Das ist immer abgelehnt worden. Wir können ja, und das machen wir natürlich nicht, einseitig sagen, okay, weil ihr nicht redet, deswegen sagen wir jetzt, wir reduzieren unsere Zölle auf X. Das geht natürlich nicht. Erstmal müssen wir wissen, wo eigentlich Verhandlungsbereitschaft und Notwendigkeit auf der amerikanischen Seite ist. Und das ist das Problem, das Problem.
Thank you very much, Mr. Lambert. Unfortunately, we will have to stop